Hey, hi everyone. This is Ranmay here on your show E-Coffee with Experts. Today we have Jason Koenig from Sinuate Media. He is the CEO at Sinuate Media, a full-service marketing agency headquartered in New Mexico. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, Ronnie?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking out time for the podcast. Really appreciate it. Jason, before we move forward and talk about digital marketing and ask for your insight, I would request you to introduce yourself and Sinuate Media to our audiences, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Excellent. Thank you. Sinuate Media, we like to say that we are a full service digital first marketing agency. The company itself started about 17 years ago. So we're on the very cusp of digital marketing. In the early days, we did what today would be called influencer marketing, mostly for TV shows, different kind of media outlets, and really even an early rum company where we had a deck of printed out papers and what the internet would look like, how they could talk about it, how we'd send them to make recipes. So it really started a lot of how to expand your market with digital marketing. Over the years, as technology evolved and clients continue to ask them to do more stuff, we've evolved the websites, ad, email, pretty much a full service digital marketing that needs to be done for any clients, helping them navigate that space. Today, about 85% of our work is digital, but we do offer traditional side of marketing for some clients, but we have clients throughout the United States. So we have a few international. Say that it's a mix of clients between e-commerce, government, small to mid-sized business. And I'd say the number one, about 25% of our business is healthcare, and the rest is a mix of everything else.
Okay, great. Thank you for that introduction, Jason. As the CEO of Sinuate Media, what are some of the fundamental processes and strategies you rely on to drive your marketing output?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, fundamental processes, we believe very deeply in order to find success, you have to have equal parts creative, equal parts strong technology. So if you're focusing on one or the other more than that, you're going to have a shortfall in your campaigns and achieving your objectives. We like our creative team and our tech teams to work hand in hand at each stage of the campaign. And then the biggest thing after that is to make sure you're doing testing, optimization. We're always improving. I don't think anything is right out of the gates. I think that we like to talk to people about, hey, even if you had an early success, that doesn't necessarily mean it's long-term. We focus on optimizing. We want to spend the correct amount to get the results you want. We don't want to spend more. We don't want to spend less. We want to improve consistently and make sure we find what that perfect balance is for growth in your company. And so I'd say that fundamental process is just the foundation. We really just believe that marketing has to start with the foundation. You can't go do one splashy campaign if you don't have good track, don't have everything else. So we really take it from a house building approach and say, you need a foundation first. And let's make sure that we have that foundation done very well and something that we can grow off of.
Superb. And talking about your strategies, how would you differentiate Sinuate Media from other agencies there in your region, territory, in the US? How do you differentiate that?
That is the biggest challenge for every agency, right? Whether you say you have the capabilities to focus and listen. Agencies and individuals who can really get into a niche and say, I do this one thing, it does make that differentiation a lot easier. But one of the most important things to us is relationships are everything. So you never want to be fully reliant on referrals. We do other marketing, but it is still the most frequent way that we grow our business. And while it's hard to say that makes us different, every agency would say they provide great services. One of the things we really do that on is just the length of our relationship. So you have to have clients and the relationship where you listen, you create success, you work together. One of the biggest ways we do that is guidance beyond what really is the project or services we're working. So it doesn't matter if you brought in to help with social. It doesn't mean if you need a little bit of an ad campaign. It's really providing guidance to the business in areas outside of just that specific marketing campaign. I really do think that marketing is really just an extension of operations. They like to keep them separate, but really they're not. And so one of the ways we say to differentiate that is just looking at the length of our clients. We've been in business about 17 years. We've got about a high number of clients where we've got over about 14 years worth of collaboration and relationships that are going back that far. So we do work with a lot of retainer, a lot of clients. We stay with them for many years. So we don't have to do the changeover a lot. You always have projects, but referrals from clients is really the number one thing we can do. And that's where the relationship's working. So you also get a good foot in the door when you start. I know so-and-so, you've been with them for years. That trust gets them to start having a more open dialogue. Sometimes the client early on wants to tell you all the good stuff. And you're like, that's great. But we really want to find out how we're going to help and strengthen that relationship. We have to add value. If you're not adding value, it doesn't matter if they like you. At the end of the day, you have to help them make smarter decisions. You have to feel that they want us to stay around because we are providing that value, giving them confidence, giving them better decisions, better strategy to move forward with their business. I love seeing businesses succeed. Marketing was a natural transition because you want to work with business, you want to do that one. Marketing is so perfect. It's like, great. I just want to help you get the word out. It's not as simple as that, but I want to see you succeed. And it's a great collaboration because you really are a part of that success. And so how do we differentiate? We're constantly figuring out how you actually convey that without a chance to talk. But I think the number one way is you just keep long strength relationships and grow from that base. That's how we do it.
Actually, at times, in fact, at all times, it's going beyond your contractual terms and conditions for that project or with that client. If you see a pain area which is not even in your, let's say, portfolio of the project, if you can help, then you should. Because end of the day, marketing is a holistic approach. It's not that you've touched upon something, your project is into something, and something else pops up, you're not responsible. So at times people get stuck with their contractual obligation and do not even think of a long-term approach. And very good point raised by you, wherein having those tough conversations with clients is also very critical to your association with them. And in fact, for their own long-term benefit. While everything is going good, if you deep dive and understand what can be better, or if you're looking at something not working 6 months down the line, and you're actually finger pointing those things at the beginning or way before that it happens, that gives you that extra buffer to work on that. And if you revisit the strategy and work around and fix that before the actual problem arises. Having those tough conversations, like you mentioned, is also very critical to maintain those sort of relationships. And then talking about marketing plans, you have been a marketer for 17 years running this agency. How do you feel that you can tailor a market plan to meet the client specific needs and goals and vision? And what role do you feel that data analysts play in that overall process?
I think that's a great question. And sometimes getting the goals first off is to really, they have a goal here, but breaking that goal down into the objectives, the different parts of the goal, and achieving it is actually a really important part of that. So you take a first strain of what you do. The marketing plan is pretty much the backbone of everything. Make sure you get the data, put it together. So we really have a structured plan. We take a very comprehensive look at where they stand today, both in their business and in their marketing efforts, right? And then we're going to obviously do a very big deep dive on competitors. And then from that, you're going to set forth a unique plan for social, SEO, content ads, their web development, the presence they need. And in a lot of cases, actually, we might even be looking at their offline activities. What do they need to do to supplement this over the next 12 months? I think that's one of the things we spend a lot of time talking about sometimes when it's an appropriate one. How are we fulfilling sales? How are you taking them in? What are the leads doing? A lot of that matters. How are you internally tracking some of this data that's not available to you? Digital marketing is a beautiful thing that we can get a lot of information, but the biggest gap is on their side. So I can say we got calls. Did you talk? Were they good? What's the data saying to do that one? But in a marketing plan, we're going to do a very comprehensive. We're going to look at that analytics, sales data, Google Analytics, social media analytics. We want to gather as much as possible, but it's somewhat of an academic exercise, which I think a lot of times you fall into that, right? You're like, oh, you can do this. Here's all of this. Here's the data, right? Here's the SWOT. Here's where we're going. But I think the biggest challenge is actually to determine which strategy you should actually move forward with, because there's a lot. And especially if you're mid-side, you've got good sales, but you've survived on word of mouth or these other things, and you're really trying to do an explosive growth. And now you're investing in marketing, you're looking to expand your business. Oh, do social, do ads, do here. When you're reading online, you do the rest of it. There's so much there. And I think one of the things our team has to work really hard at is when we take that first version of the marketing analysis, that plan we're going for, and saying, there's too much here. We've got to keep breaking down steps. Step 1 to 2 to 3 to really say, how can we achieve that? We don't want to go too far too fast. We don't want to go out that way. We want to say, hey, foundation, get these ones and growing. And that's always one of our challenges, because sometimes you like doing all of these different things. You think that would be great, but saying, which one can we narrow down, get meaningful, continued results? And so I think we tailored to their goals by looking at what else is being done, but really saying, okay, what strengths do you have? What are you good at first? Let's win on some of those and improve on those ones and then build. Because if the first thing is to change what you're doing completely, the success just struggles and the marketing plan gets shelved or they're not sure what they want to do. You can't go over too far too fast. You can't say, oh, you were never doing this. Now you have to do this. And as business owners, we know the things we're not doing. I can own a marketing agency. People are like, oh, how much marketing? Not that much. Oh, I can't believe a marketing agency doesn't do a lot of marketing. We don't need to, and we can't necessarily handle that influx of growth at a certain rate, right? We've got a lot of other people working on balance is a very crucial part, but I think the data is there, find what it's doing and see there's something in there you're missing. And it's going to be a little bit of ops and a little bit of about there. Okay, I can just land here and you're getting people here, but I don't really understand very clearly what you're asking me to do. So let's work on clarity. Let's work on simplicity. Let's work on getting them there. And then let's get a lot of people there. Because maybe instead of me getting you 1,000 new impressions tomorrow, I need to make sure those impressions are ready to convert. So in the marketing plan, it's the foundation. We're just going to ask the tough questions. And from there, everybody's got holes. And so really we're just saying, where can we use this to tailor to your strengths and really to say, this is going to be something we can grow off of. And it's not one size fits all. Everybody's different. And a lot of times it's the organization itself or the people you're working with are going to determine, do they have a big team that they're ready to go? Or are you working with one or two people who don't have capacity? Make sure we're tailoring that to what your capabilities actually are.
Absolutely. A very valid point mentioned there, wherein, let's say, if someone is seeking traffic, a lot of traffic lands onto your page, but it does not convert. What good is it? You're getting so much of volume, but what's the end result and like you mentioned, you have to have your internal systems in place as well before you want to have that phone ringing, because our job is to get that phone ringing. But what happens after that is also extremely critical for your business, right? And if your business does not flourish, then our association will not, because we do not come for free. So it's at times, it's very important to educate and stitch together the entire story, because what I personally feel is that we are a part of it. We cannot be the entire story. So the entire story has to be stitched together for our client to be successful versus just operating in silos, no functions talking to each other. It'll never work out that way in the long run, at least. A very good point right there that you mentioned about a lot of traffic, phones ringing, but nothing is happening beyond that, because conversion is revenue at the end of the day.
Data doesn't tell you if those leads were good. That's the staff. That's the team. That's them actually figuring out how can they track their own information. I've had people who are saying, hey, this is working. You're getting amazing results. And say, I don't know if we had any calls, and then get them to ask somebody on the team and go, yeah, the phone's ringing all the time. Okay, great. How are those leads? Are they qualified? Are we getting the right ones? And that the data can only tell us so far from our side of it. So really continuing to have, when we do an analytics review, say a monthly or a bi-weekly, I really need some participation of data that we don't have, because data is never a complete picture. Just on a side note. But so I think it's so important for how the internal organization can actually educate them to how can you see if this is good or not? Like, how can you guys maybe lightly track it? Because you can't ask employees to do 6 more software programs and log every call and do everything, but you need that insight. And I think the marketing plan is a start. And then from there, you're saying, okay, as we're going to continue to get your insight as well. It's such an important part.
So it is in this office season, you have scored 50 goals, but it depends against what opposition have you scored those 50. The other player might have scored 20 against tougher oppositions in crucial matches. So that is more critical versus those 50 goals against weaker opponents. Yeah, I know data can only show as much. You got to analyze it as well. And talking about social media, Jason, can you walk us through your process for conducting a typical social media competitive analysis, and how do you use the insight gained from that analysis to inform or structure your client's social media strategy?
Social media, wow, what a technology, right? It's now getting into laggard. We've had it for so long and it's so new. It's been the topic that it's actually finally becoming a topic less on there. People know they need it. We've gotten over the humps of, do I need it? Do I want? What's it going to be? Also over some of the humps of, wow, why am I not getting these numbers? You're comparing yourself to a national brand with 20,000 followers, and you're a regional brand with a very small base. So what are we going to do? Competitive analysis is it's more than comparing yourself to others. And it's definitely not copying the competition. Sometimes people we need a good strategy and a good plan. One of the things we're looking at, obviously, we're looking at tracking data if they have a presence. So we work with clients that don't have enough presence to really, the data doesn't matter. I mean, there's just not enough there. And possibly their market competitors aren't even that done. But for the point of a good competitive analysis, we're assuming you have a good presence and there's a pretty good presence in the market there for your competitors, both direct and indirect competitors. But we want engagement rates. What's the audience interacting with on the content, the time of day? When are they getting the best one? How is the social SEO working? Are we gathering all that info on the client, the competitors? What is a good benchmark of where we stand? I think the clients, it's just, as a business owner, we all do it. The number one thing we're looking at is there's always that one competitor, that one thing. And that's they get hyper focused. They're doing this, or they're winning this, or they have a better game. And it's a lot of times they want one stat or one metric or KPI, and they think that kind of rules the day. And so they really want to, how do I stand up to them? How do I beat them? And while that's a goal you're doing, we're trying to achieve specific goals. And the recommendations are going to vary vastly depending on what those goals are and really what kind of what they have to do. So the number one strategy is really, what is the type of content we are sharing? What is the one that we need the most that is going to give us that value and actually qualify good clients, get engagement and activity? To be honest, the most common thing you're going to find, especially on your mid-size and lower companies, they need more video content. And they don't need to think of it as, I'm going to make a video. Your 10-minute video isn't going to get you the stuff you want. We need video, small bite-sized parts. Put that message into a small slideshow, put it into a very nice little animation that's still real video, but maybe animates the text and stuff over it. That's our probably most common one, is looking at it saying, what do you need to do? You're not doing enough of that. If you're doing that competitive analysis and you're sitting here saying, hey, you have a pretty anemic engagement, unfortunately, a lot of the recommendations is going to revolve around, you might need to integrate more paid social. You don't have enough of the organic traffic. You don't have enough to get results. Let's be frank here. If you need to attack them, you're going to need to go ahead and get a strategy to do that. So we're looking on that one. But from there, we're going to create content themes. That's the number one thing we do. And then we're going to create content around those themes and put them into a schedule. So the analysis is really looking at what's working for somebody else. Where is engagements happening? What kind of content seems to bring in the type of information we want? And we're going to use the platforms themselves. We have some third-party tools like everybody. There's a lot of data there, but we're really looking for a few connecting themes, right? This stuff is what's engaging, or these are people working out there. And instead of saying that's the content you want, we like a theme. This is around this type of content, right? This is a heartwarming kind of stuff. This is a very targeted to your client, and what's a good mix, and consistently evolving that. But the number one thing we're going to take out of analysis is what themes are going to work for you best. And then what's the specific strategy we need to do with that?
Absolutely. And then I cannot let you go without asking this one, since you have spoken so much about content. What is your take on AI generated content? ChatGPT has taken the space by storm. What is your take on it? What is Sinuate Media's look? How do you approach this AI storm that we are all in right now?
We got into digital marketing before some of the things. We pride ourselves on one thing we never did. We never were pop-ups and clicks. We didn't go for the pop-up banners when that was the heyday, and everybody said, that's all marketing is pop-ups. No, we don't like it. So my point to that is just that we have to stay with technology. It's impossible to say you're an expert in any one thing, just to keep saying it's evolving quickly. So it's constantly a part of it. Listen, AI is going to continue to change this, from images and creating content through image, and that way is amazing. ChatGPT was just fundamental. It was phenomenal. What it's out right now. Does it output a final product? Will it ever final product? It's just taking the most common next word that should be there, right? It's looking through however many billions of words and saying, hey, this is the next word. I don't know what I'm saying. I know the algorithm is telling me this is what's commonly there. What ends up coming out sometimes is phenomenal. And to sit there and say we haven't used it if we need strategy, or even in something like social to idea generation, right? We're not going to cut and paste it there. We don't know that it's not plagiarized. We don't know it's not something else's. But for ideas or getting you in that flow, we can cut that time down a lot. I got to cut something to this theme. And what would you say? And it just sparks the mind. So right now for us, integrating just is a good way to, hey, here's something else, like talking to another person that knows. What are some ideas you have? What's something that generates there? And let the mind flow, which is speeding up other process. Where we're going to get to is fascinating. And how that's going to go is, I think, amazing. I think that's why last year was the metaverse. That hadn't done a lot of work in that. Fascinating. We've enjoyed that just recently. But once ChatGPT came out and everyone switched their financing, Wall Street wants it, AI is on there. It's here to stay. Some of the social platforms are getting hammered for their AI coming in now because it's not quite ready. But I think it's going to be another one, just like landing pages and email automation and the rest has just changed marketing 10 years ago. We're on a new frontier, and it's going to be fascinating to see what it does. I think, unfortunately, some people are going to think they can do it all themselves through that. And I think that we're a long time away from that. But boy, it's coming on fast, and it's going to continue to be a vital component. I think you're going to see it in all software. CRMs, social media is going to continue to become more of a customer service tool. So instead of my chat bot on my website, how is my chat bot and AI integrating into it? And we've all seen when a company does it well, and you're like, this bot's actually helpful. Or one that's just a standard, I'm a bot, I can't do it. And that that potential for AI to actually be a customer service tool, I think is where one of the early implementations financially is going to be there and say, hey, we really have taught this to answer our questions. Take an SAS company and say, I got questions and they're not my FAQ or my knowledge base has it there, but I'm looking just technical. Can I turn this on and generate that? I have such a specific question. And I think as these tools get there, I think we're going to see a new world of sales and customer service on the front end. If you're getting live answers that are 90% correct, that's a powerful tool for a brand and a company to use to sell their product, to answer the questions you have, right? Because you're going to be ready to buy. You just have one question. We look at so much software and I always have one question. Can I get that answered quickly? Because you don't have that information. You can't come up with every question in content. I'm pretty excited to see where that goes.
Absolutely. We all are. Still early days, but it's here to stay. Like you mentioned, I also believe that. So still early days. Let's see how it pans out eventually. Great. Jason, it was lovely hosting you on our show. And I'm really thankful to you to take out time for this podcast. And thank you for your insights. I'm sure an audience would have benefited a lot. And it was lovely hosting you tonight.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.